What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Sidney is insanely safe in Scream 5 in terms of 0% chance she is killed off. So this is a video I've wanted to make for a while. I even wrote it down in my little journal that I keep with me, and I was thinking about doing it. I was wondering when the right time was, and then all of a sudden, in real time, I guess my time, right, the Ghostface feature thing video came out. It showed some additional scenes, and it showed some really cool scenes, and the biggest one, or one of the biggest ones I would say, is the definite confirmation that Sidney does have kids. Now, I don't want to spoil, leaks that we've heard, but we have heard leaks that she did have, I believe, 2 kids was the leak. Now, you could believe leaks, you could not believe leaks, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go into anything else that people have heard, but this obviously confirms it. Maybe as you see her running, right? And it's something that I really did think of anyway, right? Because she's in this, workout gear. She looks like she's on, a pier, by the water, and it's like, well, does she do daily jogs, or is she with her kid, right? Kids, what's she doing? And now we get more context. She's running, she's just doing a nice stroll, and with her kids in the stroller. So that's really cool. And honestly, I'm glad that happened, because that adds on to the discussion that I want to have of how safe is she. So I would have said, back when they brought her back when they were, bringing everybody back to do this movie a year ago, filming it, I was very worried. Now I'm still very worried for Dewey. I think he's easily in the most danger. Gale would be number 2 and this is of the OGs. You know what I mean? In order, Dewey's in most danger, then Gale, then Sidney. To be a shocker, Gale could be killed off, because I think a lot of people expect Dewey, so to maybe throw us off, maybe you do something different, right? But Sidney, I think, ever since we saw all of this stuff, Sidney has been the lowest, in terms of what we feel safe with. Now, you could argue, and you guys can argue, that maybe is done on purpose, because it's well, is anybody truly safe in these movies, and are they doing all this just to actually pull a surprise, and maybe they could kill Sidney off? It's definitely possible. I do like the world, and I like the idea of a world of Scream where she is still consistently in danger, where things can still happen to her, no matter what you may think. No matter how safe you think she is, they really still could kill her, especially with passing the torch, to, if that's the plan, which it seems like it is, right? But I've always said, just how specific is that plan, right? What if it fails? What if nobody likes the new cast once we see the movie? We don't exactly know how passing the torch is going to go, by the way, which I think a lot of people take for granted, that it's just going to work and it's just going to happen. I'm not, I think we have to see it first. So, we don't really know, but I do like the idea that Sidney is always in danger. And again, I would say a year ago, when we didn't know anything, I think Sidney was in danger. I feel like any of the 3, Dewey, Gale, Sidney, would have been oh dear, they could do anything they want. Now that we have more context, now that we have a little bit more of an idea of what the movie is going to be, how safe is Sidney? Now, again, I would say, and now even knowing that she does, again, confirmed she's got kids, I would put her chances of survival at near 100%. Not 100 exactly, maybe 98, 97, 99, somewhere in that range. But now she's going to be at the house alone with Sam, with Ghostface. So she's going to be one of those final couple. Anything can happen. So it's possible she could get taken out. But a couple things. Would you bring back Neve Campbell? Now I'm talking about the movie itself, or the directors, producers, Kevin Williamson. Would you bring Sidney back? Would you bring Neve back to kill her off? Would you? Now that's a question. I don't think you would do that. As Neve Campbell, now I can't pretend to be her, but if you're her, and you're saying, I don't know if a Scream movie would work without Wes, I'd be maybe up for it, but I don't know. It's been so long since 4, and then 4 was so long since 3, and, they wrote me this letter. She always talks about the letter, right? Would you come back if their pitch to you was, love the movies, love Wes, love Sidney, let's bring you back to kill you at the end? Would you do that? I assume, by the way, they would tell her. The interesting thing is, I think in the situation they have going with the Scream movie and the legacy characters and just how long they've been around, and the idea of trying to almost win them back to get them to come back for the movie, I feel like out of all the characters, they know the most of what's happening. Specifically, probably Neve Campbell. So that's why I really do say that, honestly, where it's like, I don't think they would say it in the letter, in this nice letter she always talks about. But I do feel like before she signs on, before she steps on the, on the floor to start acting, right? I feel like she knows the fate of her character. I don't really feel like she would come back, or you'd even pitch it to her without telling her where you're going. Because I think that's a big part of it, you know what I mean? Do you say, well, I'm bringing you back so that you can mentor them, or, we're going to give you a husband and kids, and you'll mentor them, and then maybe you can come back in future movies if you want, but we'll write you out just in case, and then we can bring you back, and it's up to you, or we'll kill you. There's only really 3 or so options they could do with her, and I feel like you got to tell her that before she signs on. That's just my personal opinion, but I really feel good about, that idea. So you have that. You have, would the directors and would the movie itself want to bring her back to kill her off? Would Neve return just to be killed off? Those are 2 very good questions. The third question is now, put yourself in the movie, right? In the plot, in these characters. Now you're giving Sidney a husband. Now, we don't know who the husband is. Some people think it's Mark from Scream 3, right? Definitely possible. But she has a husband now, and she has at least a kid. Let's say 2 kids. That was the rumor, and that's what seems to be, right? So she's got children now. Children are a tough thing, right? You can leave them at home. That's for, if, the idea for Scream 4, remember, was that maybe Dewey and Gale were going to have a kid. And then it's like, but then they're both in the movie a lot. So, like, the kid has to be with them a lot because you can't leave the kid with nobody. So that complicates things because now you have a child everywhere. But for Sidney, it's easy. You can kind of just almost like Fast and Furious with Brian. Brian can just be, even though he's, obviously Paul Walker's no longer here, but Brian is, you could have him basically just be a babysitter for anybody you don't want in the movie. You just give to an off-screen character, right? That's kind of the same thing. You give the kids to whoever her husband is, and Sidney can keep, even in future movies, she can just keep leaving them for like a couple days and go solve the mystery, kill the Ghostface killer, and come back, right? That would be the idea. And honestly, even me just saying that makes sense, and that could be a good reason to introduce kids. But also, now you do have kids, and then you have like the more emotional or just like personable thing with the movie where it's like, do you kill their mom? That's you think about the people in Scream, and it's like one thing they don't go into too much is really the impact of their death. And this is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, but the impact of their death to everybody like around them. You know what I mean? The best person they probably did that with was Maureen Prescott, her mom, because of how much it affected Sidney and how much it just changed her life. But, like even when Randy dies, right? Like, how much does it affect Martha? We don't really know. His parents, like, do we ever see their reaction? So the thing is, you never really get that connection, which again is maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, because you can kill off these characters and not feel too bad about it because you're not showing the ramifications of their death. And it's maybe a weakness because maybe you could say, well, then their deaths really don't have meaning, they don't have purpose, right? That's the other side of the coin. The thing is now, though, they've done it with Sidney, where they've locked her in. Now she has a loved one, and now she has 2 kids. So again, regardless of, does Neve come back if you kill her? Does the directors want to bring her back to kill her? Besides even that now, you look at what they did in the movie, the writers, what they did. Now you give her children. Would you kill off their mom? So killing off Sidney is already it would be an emotional roller coaster. Killing off Dewey would be the same thing, right? It would, I guess each character would maybe be a different level of it to fans, but they would be huge. I guess you could say with all of them, they'd have a ramification on the other. If Dewey dies, you get to see that in Gale and Sidney. If Gale dies, you get to see it in Dewey and Sidney. And if Sidney dies, you'd see it in Dewey and Gale, and you would see it with her family. So, I guess jumping around, I'm not honestly trying to jump around. I'm not trying to extend this video any longer than it needs to be, but I would say that is probably the finishing blow or the finishing decision that makes it, in my opinion, very easy to assume that she is as safe as she's ever been. And there's other, you could say, well, she still is the main star. Whether or not they, and that's what I mentioned earlier in this video, whether or not they want to pass the torch. If people still think Scream is Sidney, which I'm not, by the way, arguing against, like Scream obviously is Ghostface too, but if people think that Sidney is still the franchise, head, like she needs to be in it, killing her is a that's a big deal. You know what I mean? Because you're killing what people associate with the brand. So that's maybe an immediate not, no go. But yet again, the idea with 4 was to almost like leave her for dead in multiple different edits and multiple different, sections. It was to basically hand off the movie. She'd still be around in 5 and 6, but we don't know what the idea, maybe they would kill her off in 6. Maybe they would give her, children. We don't really know. So it's difficult. It really is. I like the idea that she could still always be in danger. I like that, and I want that, by the way, because I don't actually think I would like her showing up in this movie, and I'm thinking the entire time, yeah, you know what? She's as safe as she can be because she's got kids and she's the main character, and so like why, or she's been the main character. Why you can't kill her? You can't do it. I don't really like that because then that kind of takes away from just the, me being worried about her, which makes her, which helps her character, I honestly think. Even in 4, you get that sense that, like, it could happen, and they get very close to doing it in the actual version that we get, right? They get very close. They get as close as they probably can be. So that's where I feel about this movie. I want her to be in danger, and I want the possibility of her dying, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I really just think they've put themselves into too many corners, or they put themselves into the same corner, but with so many reasons why they get into that corner that I just don't think there's a way out of that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure, as always, you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, so you know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me over on Twitter or subscribe to my second channel or support us on Patreon or YouTube memberships, links for all of that are in the description below. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next video.